Hey there, Tiffany Thomas with wealthytiffany.com, and in today's video I'm going to talk to you about how I was able to purchase 4 properties by the time I was 37, being a single woman. And before we dive in, if you're ready for financial freedom right now, comment freedom below in the comments. And if you are serious about becoming financially free at a young age, click the link below this video in the description and I can help you do that. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please like and share this video. Okay, so let's talk about how I was able to purchase 4 real estate properties by the time I was 37, being a single woman. And I just kind of want to share my story with you to hopefully give you some ideas and some inspiration on how you can achieve financial freedom, whether that is through real estate or through the stock market or your own business or other ways. But I just want to share my story with you so you can get a little feel for how I've been able to increase my net worth and really make my money work for me. So my first property, I purchased that in 2005, and I had a friend who was actually investing in real estate properties. And I started talking to him and just kind of asking, do you feel good about investing in real estate? Is it something that's worked for you? And do you ever regret buying your own home? Just different questions like that. And he had been so successful with real estate that I really wanted to at least get started with purchasing my own home. And being a single woman, I knew I could have roommates that would help me cover my mortgage. And so I asked him a few questions about how to get started purchasing my first property. So it was nice to kind of have a mentor, someone that knew what he was doing when I wanted to purchase my property. So I essentially, I checked out a few different banks, a few different lenders, and found one that had a really good interest rate and low closing costs, and ended up going with that particular lender and purchasing my first home, which was a townhouse. And I luckily was actually already living in the place, so it made it really convenient. I didn't have to move all of my stuff. But yeah, it just so happened that it worked out that way. I had looked at other properties and nothing seemed as good. And the owner of my place, she had gotten married and ended up moving out of state. And so they wanted to sell the property. And I said, hey, I'm looking for a place to buy. I want to buy it. So I bought my first property, and I already had roommates. And so they ended up just staying there, and they helped to cover my mortgage. And that was going really well. And quite a while later, I was still really good friends with this particular friend who was already investing in real estate and being really successful with that. And I also had a boss who was investing in real estate, and he was successful as well. So I just started asking both of them more questions about their real estate purchases, how they decided to purchase their properties, and recommendations that they had to do it smartly. And yeah, I asked a lot of questions, and I did my own research too, just online. And I decided I wanted to purchase a rental property, just a strictly a rental property. And so I started looking for one, and I had a real estate agent, and luckily my sister was working for a real estate company. So I used her, and that was really helpful. But you can find really good real estate agents. I have other friends that are real estate agents that I think would be great as well. But of course I used my own sister. So I ended up finding a property not too far from my current place, and it was just a condo, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. So it was a small enough place. And I felt comfortable having that be my first rental property instead of a larger house where I would have to worry about the yard and sprinklers and the driveway cracking or whatever it might be. I just felt like there were so many different things that could go wrong with a house, with a single family house. instead of a condo. So I ended up purchasing this condo, and I got renters in right away. So that was super great. And it was cash flowing positive. So I was making more than I was paying in my mortgage payment and the HOA. So that was fantastic, and I ran these numbers beforehand so I could kind of figure out, okay, this is what I would need to be charging for rent, and went online and saw current rent prices. And, I did the math, I ran the numbers when I actually found that property and made sure that my mortgage payment and the HOA payment would be less than the rent that I could be making. And so I ended up purchasing that property strictly as a rental, which means that it had a higher interest rate since it wasn't a property I would be living in. But I was okay with that. I didn't want to move at that time. So I just ended up purchasing that property and got tenants in there. And I still have that property. And then a couple years later, I wanted to purchase another property because I found how profitable it was to invest in real estate, and it actually doesn't take that much work. And I do manage my own properties, so you could even have less work if you wanted to get a property manager. But I feel like, I have 4 properties now, and that's very manageable for one person. So it's, your choice depending on how much time you want to spend running your properties. And if you just want to pay a fee to a property management company, then there's always that option. But after seeing how well my house was going with my roommates, and then this new condo, how well that was going, I just thought I need to invest in real estate more because that's creating cash flow for me, and it's almost passive income. Sure, I spend a few hours here and there when the lease is up or contacting my handyman to go fix something. But it's really not that much time. So it's really worth the return on investment that I'm getting to have these properties. And yeah, I decided to look for another property to purchase. And I was thinking I might possibly move into this one just because I could have a lower down payment and a lower interest rate. So if you are just purchasing a rental property, you're not going to live in it, you'll have a higher interest rate and you'll need at least 20% down. So if you are going to move into the property, your interest rate will be lower. You can get a better rate on your loan, and you can also only have 5%. It could be a little lower than that depending on your lender, but it could be 5%. And if you wanted to go up to 20%, you sure could, or more than that. But there was that flexibility. So I started looking for another property, and I really liked my townhome that I was living in. So I decided to look for another townhome just so I wouldn't have that extra maintenance, and I was okay with paying the HOA fee. So I looked at a lot of different properties, and there were actually a couple that I found that I really, really liked. But I ended up, putting an offer in on one, and they ended up accepting it, and I was able to purchase the property, and I moved into it. And I just left my old roommates at my previous place and just found a girl to fill my spot there. And I moved into this new place and ended up getting one roommate, and then decided to get 2 roommates later on. And then I decided to finish the basement and get 3 roommates later on, just to increase that cash flow. It's such an easy way to create passive income. And especially me being single, I don't have a family in the house, and it just makes it really nice to have roommates. There's people to talk to when I get home, or if I forget to turn off my curling iron or something, my roommates can turn it off for me. But anyway, I was really just happy with the properties that I had purchased and knew I wanted to purchase another one. So I went ahead and did that, moved into it. And then last year I wanted to purchase another property, and I decided I wanted this one to be a larger property, at least 4 bedrooms. And I decided to go with a single family home. instead of a townhome or a condo, so it didn't have an HOA fee. But I would have all of the extra maintenance, right? If the roof needed replacing, or the sprinklers needed replacing or fixed, things like that, I would be in charge of it all. But I decided that I was ready for that. And so I purchased a single family home and decided to rent it to single girls. So I filled that place and have just been maintaining that. And that's where I'm at. So I have 4 properties, and I purchased them all by the age of 37. And did it on my own. I mean, of course, I had mentors, and I did a ton of research, and I had a real estate agent, my sister, super convenient. And I used my own money to purchase all of these properties. I am more of a saver than a spender, so that made it nice. And I know a lot of people try to do a lot of different hacks on using other people's money, getting investors, or investing in properties with other people. But I didn't go that route. I just used the money that I had saved and that I had invested. And this last property that I purchased, I actually took out some of my stocks and put that toward my down payment. So that was really nice that I had that extra investment that I could take out and put into real estate. And that's what I did for the last property. But I just wanted to kind of give you guys a feel for getting into real estate, getting into investing. You kind of find your own path and work with the way you want to work it. I didn't want to invest in properties with other people. I just wanted to have my own properties. I didn't want to have to worry about any conflicts working with someone else. And I had enough money saved and invested in order to do that. And I worked hard to do that. It wasn't super easy. And especially with purchasing my 3rd property, I really, really wanted to purchase that 3rd property. And so I was really dedicated, and I cut back on my expenses. I used to go shopping a lot. I would buy a lot of clothes or shoes, and I dropped that part of my budget so low so that I could put that money toward the down payment on my house. Because I had that goal and I was excited about it, and I knew that's what I really wanted. I didn't really need all these clothes or all of these shoes. I wanted something that would make me more money. And so that's what I did. I set that goal and achieved that by really focusing in on that goal and looking to see where else I could reduce my expenses or cut back on my expenses, and was able to purchase that 3rd property. And, I, having these properties for so long, I have been pretty fortunate to have really good tenants and not have a lot of problems with managing the properties. And when something does go wrong at a property, I will message my handyman and say, hey, can you go over to this property and check out the toilet or the air conditioner or the furnace, whatever problem is going on. And he checks it out, he fixes it, and I write him a check for it. So it's really not a lot of my time taking care of that sort of stuff. I just do the coordinating and I write the check. And maybe if you are more of a handyman type, then you'll want to take care of those things yourself, and then you wouldn't have to write a check to someone. But it just kind of depends on you and how you want to spend your time, and making that more of a priority. Because, at first there were a few things that I fixed myself, and it took a lot longer than having my handyman do it. So I started to realize, what, if it's out of my realm, I don't want to spend the time to learn how to do that, possibly do it wrong and have him come anyway. I would rather just have him do it. So that's, one thing I've kind of learned along the way. And also just trying to find good tenants. I really like renting to single women, and that maybe that I am a single woman, and so I can kind of find single women to rent to pretty easily. But they usually keep things pretty clean, which is nice. And, they're pretty good at paying rent on time, and they're just not as hard as kids would be on the property. So instead of renting to families with little kids that are possibly going to damage my properties or ruin the carpet or whatever, I prefer to rent to singles. So that's kind of been my route as I've moved along. And, you know, just some lessons that I've learned, like, really think about the numbers. You want to run the numbers. So if you are renting a room for $500 and you're not getting it rented in the month that you want to, just think about if you don't get that rented for the month, then you're losing out on a full $500. But if you maybe drop the rent to $450, then you're still making $450 that month. It might be $50 less than what you had wanted, but you'll still make more over that time frame because you've at least initially made that $450 in the month that you wanted to, instead of $0 and then $500 the next month. So you really just want to run the numbers and make sure, you know, that you're getting what you want out of the properties. And before you purchase, make sure and run the numbers. And once you know that exact sell price, get your lender to run the actual numbers so you can make sure you're comfortable with paying the mortgage and your escrow, which is for taxes, and the insurance. And if there is an HOA fee or any extra costs, you just want to make sure and run those numbers beforehand and see how much you can rent it for. Just jump online and see comparable properties, what they're going for, and really run those numbers and feel comfortable with what you will be getting out of that property. So hopefully this helps you guys, just kind of an overview on how I was able to purchase these properties, being a single woman by age 37. You guys can do it. Like, it's not difficult. It's just really prioritizing what you really want, setting your goals, and then taking those action steps and taking the opportunities that come along and asking for inspiration on what you should be doing, how you should be handling things. And you can really do it. You can really invest in real estate or in other types of investments, just by setting your goals, setting your priorities, and taking that inspired action. So if you guys found this video helpful, please like it and share it with someone else who would like to hear this information. And comment below with other ideas that you would like to have me create for you. I would love to know, what other content you want to hear in videos. So I would love to create that. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more great content. And if you're really serious about becoming financially free at a young age, click the link below this video and then I can help you do that. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks.